Let's explore the Scrum Framework. Scrum is a framework for developing and sustaining complex products. And we're really lucky that there is one canonical place to go to, and that is the Scrum Guide. So if you go to scrumguides.org, you can download and read the Scrum Guide in English, as well as many other languages. Make sure you check for the latest version. And at the time of recording, that's the 2020 version. Scrum is made up of 14 elements. There are 3 accountabilities. They are the product owner, developers, and Scrum Master. 3 artifacts, the product backlog, the sprint backlog, and the increment of a working product. There's 3 commitments, the product goal, the sprint goal, and the definition of done. And you'll notice each commitment supports one of the artifacts. So the product goal supports product backlog, sprint goal supports the sprint backlog, and definition of done supports the increment. And all of it is executed in 5 events. Notice the language. They're events. They're not meetings. They're not ceremonies. They're events to engage people. The container event is the sprint. And within the sprint, you have sprint planning, the daily scrum, the sprint review, and the sprint retrospective. Let's explore how the whole Scrum framework fits together. Like most endeavors, it starts by having stakeholders. Stakeholders are people who are interested and have the resources to bring an idea to life. Now, because these people are very busy and very important, they summon a product owner. And they'll work with that product owner to define a goal or an objective that they want to achieve. And so the product goal becomes the next tangible thing that they want to get to. And because the product owner is working with the stakeholders and others to help describe the plan of how to get to the goal, they need some people to help them build the thing. And that is where your developers come in. Your developers are a cross-functional, self-managing group of people who are going to build whatever it is that you're looking to build. And to coordinate the work of all these people, to help them use the framework for maximum impact, help them get rid of impediments, you have a Scrum Master. When you have a product owner, developers, and a Scrum Master, you have a Scrum team. It's at this point the developers smile sweetly at the product owner and say, "All right, sunshine, what do you want us to build?" And they will define a list of things that will help them achieve the product goal in a product backlog. And that's a dynamic ordered list of stuff that will help achieve the product goal. They will also agree as a Scrum team what finished looks like. A completed piece of work will meet the definition of done. That's a really, really important artifact because it builds a common understanding of what complete work should look like. They'll agree to work in a sprint. Now, a sprint is a time box of less than 1 month. And this will manage risk, it'll help keep your stakeholders engaged, and it breaks things down into small enough chunks so that we can understand it. The sprint starts with sprint planning. The whole Scrum team attends sprint planning and agree what's the most valuable thing they can do to get towards the product goal within the sprint. This becomes the sprint goal. They'll then take work from the product backlog and create a sprint backlog where the developers may add detail to tell themselves what they need to do to get that thing to the standard of done. Every day, the developers will connect with each other and inspect and adapt the sprint backlog in the daily Scrum. You'll notice the language is different to XP. It's definitely the daily Scrum. They'll also work together as a Scrum team, perhaps talking with stakeholders to refine the product backlog for the next sprint. That product backlog refinement is totally up to the Scrum team. The rest of the time, the group is focused on delivery. And that means that at the end of the sprint, at least once, there will be an updated new version of the increment. This is the latest iteration or version of the product that meets the definition of done. As soon as a product backlog item meets the definition of done, a new increment or version of the increment is born. We can then bring together the stakeholders with the increment and the Scrum team in the sprint review. And that's where the stakeholders and the Scrum team will have a discussion about what was built and inspect and adapt the value of the product. Updates can then be made to the product backlog. Following the sprint review, the Scrum team, product owner, developers, and Scrum Master get together to explore how well they work together over that sprint and inspect and adapt the process. Everything could be inspected. How they work together, interactions between people, the quality of the definition of done, tooling they were using. What can they do to be more effective in delivering a better increment in the next sprint? And they'll take ideas from that back into sprint planning for the next sprint. As soon as a sprint ends, another sprint starts. And that is the Scrum Framework.